Okay, we are live, and officially we're a couple minutes late. It's 5:02, 5:02, and just a few seconds after. And my glasses are spotted, as is usual the case. Really bugs me. Can never get these things clean. Before, people said it was rude for me to eat during the show. Now they're going to say it's rude for me to clean the glasses during the show. Oh well. It is what it is. Live TV. Live TV, sometimes you have to be rude, I guess. Okay, so a couple of things I want to mention right off the top. First of all, let me make sure I can get in the chat here because I am late. So, a couple of things. Oh, well. All right, Stig's in the house. Lance is in the house. Brianna is in the house early. She was in 4 minutes early. Lance said hello to Bree and Stig also. Fisto Bowser, Craig, Apple Watch can't be a one and only watch. There you go. Okay. So here's the thing. Apple did announce new watches yesterday. And by the way, let me know what you think about the lighting. I've adjusted the lighting a little bit. Let me know what you think. They announced a blue model. Let me see if I can pull it up on the screen here. While I'm doing that, let's do a look at the official timekeeping stunner, the 002, SBGY 002. Link in the description to my page if you want to learn about that puppy. That puppy is absolutely stunning. Stunner alert. Okay, so let's go to the watch configuration here. And this does work better than the configuration on the Apple website. I will say that. Definitely a better setup. Still not perfect, but let's see what we got here. Of course, the website is probably busy with the new model and everybody hitting it. So what I'll do is I'll cut back to me while it's loading in, because a watched pot doesn't boil. And let's see. Carlos is in the house. Okay. Most advanced Apple Watch ever, they're saying. Okay. All right. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say the, let's see. There's a place where it's kind of good to look at all of them here. To look at all the different things. Flip through them here. And then create your style. Here's what we do. We go here and we say get started. And first we're going to say size is going to be 40 mil. Okay, 40 mil. And case is aluminum. And the band is the, I guess that blue. No, not surf blue. That's not what we want. We want the dark blue one. Where is it? Deep navy. Deep navy. In the case, we want deep navy. Okay, so let's go over to that. Okay, deep navy. And I think that is the configuration. And saved. I'm done. Okay. So let's see what we've got here. Your styles, and I saved several, by the way, already. Okay. Blue aluminum case with sport band. And now they also have the strap that is all one piece, that has no buckle, no adjustment, that just stretches over your wrist. And I have mixed emotions about that, because you know, without trying it on, they do come in like 9 different sizes. But without trying it on, that could be a little bit dicey. But I think Bree is going to talk about this some on her show on Friday. I think she's going to talk about this some on her show on Friday. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention before I forget it is I listened to a really interesting podcast. Anthony Pompliano, commonly called Pomp, interviewed Michael Saylor. He started MicroStrategy, still runs it. He's the CEO. And he recently completed a total of $425 million worth of Bitcoin purchased, publicly traded company. And there was a lengthy interview of him by Pomp. And I posted the link on my Facebook page to the YouTube. It's on YouTube, and it's also available as a podcast. So anybody that has access to my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, I did post that link there, and it's interesting to say the least. It's probably the most interesting podcast I've ever listened to. And probably 75% of it has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Especially the whole beginning. They talk about his backstory and his building his business. And he, by the way, sold the domain name voice.com for $30 million. So that was pretty interesting right there. So I do encourage you to check that out. I think Bree is also going to talk about that a little bit on her show on Friday, just a little teaser there. More program notes. Steve is doing a show tomorrow at this time slot. So be ready for Steve and have all your questions ready for Steve. Everybody says, oh, I need to know this. I need to know that. Have your questions ready. He's going to be live in the house. Let's see. Craig, get Bree that gold Crador in the new Apple Watch as a 2-watch rotation. That is a very interesting suggestion, Lance. Lance is batting close to 1,000 lately, I have to tell you. He is a sharp cookie, because that would make sense, because that Crador, being quartz, would continually run. Now, what movement is in that? Is that a 9F movement in that? Because that would kind of seal the deal. Now, that Grand Seiko that we saw, that was a little bit more money, I think, but not much more, it's definitely a 9F movement. The Grand Seiko gold stunner that we saw yesterday also. So that could be a possible rotation item with an Apple Watch. Then she would have a gold stunner for when she dresses up in one of her stunning black dresses and goes out to dinner or something. She'd have a gold stunner, and then she'd have, for all her workouts and swimming and all that kind of stuff, she'd have the Apple Watch, which would be very useful to say the least. So, and Fisto Bowser says, we all know Bree wants the Rolex. Carlos says, Rolex. Fisto Bowser, did you see the PS5 showcase? I'm not sure what that is. Trey, when can be ordered? Okay, they've got some inside information going on there. Triforce Rich, Bree is going to end up with an Apple Watch. I guess that's like a Rolex. No, it's a whole different thing. It's a computer on the wrist. They're very useful. I wore one for 2 years. See, I'm not a hypocrite on this channel. I call it the way I see it. There's equipment that is very useful. There are other things that you buy just because you kind of like them, and they, like jewelry things, that are just kind of like, hey, you dress up in a nice suit and all that, you want a nice watch, and so, but there are other things that you buy as gear, as equipment to get the job done. And I would say that the Apple Watch is more like gear. It's more like equipment to work in conjunction with your iPhone, which is also a critical piece of gear these days, and of course an Apple computer, a MacBook, that sort of thing, which is a critical piece of equipment these days. That is more the equipment that you're using to get the job done on a daily basis and build wealth. It's all about building wealth, folks. It's important to build wealth. Don't get caught up with all these losers in the forums and so forth that are in their mom's basement and so on, and Don't take advice from them because they're pretty much, they've already demonstrated that they're total losers. So there you go. Had a little back and forth with a couple of losers in one of the Facebook groups today. Just a couple of nasty trolls. But anyway, they're out there. They're out there. And I think Bree knows to tune them out. Tune out the nasty trolls. Let's see. Trevor Switch says, Carlos, great question. They didn't reveal it. They announced it would be coming out November 12. I was hoping I could pre-order today. Carlos is a player and a gamer. There you go. Fisto Bowser, there's a couple of live streams on my stream reacting to the release, but I'd rather watch this. Well, thank you, Fisto. Thank you. Carlos Bowser, not playing PS5 for some time. My kids does not let it free. Oh, he's using it. Okay. I used to play Battlefield a lot. PS4, I mean. Okay. Sticks in the house. Hi, Carlos. I'm on your side. An Apple Watch is fantastic, but it's not a watch. It's a computer on the wrist. Yes, it is exactly a computer. It is a tool. It is a tool. It serves the purpose of a watch, though, folks. It does tell time. It does do that. So I don't get these watch people that are so negative Apple Watch. They're so threatened by the Apple Watch, by the concept of the Apple Watch. I mean, it is what it is, and it's a fantastic piece of gear. I'll put it that way. And mine's the original one, and it was fantastic. I can't imagine how much better the current one is, but I'm sure it is significantly better. So there you go. And the blue looks pretty stunning. It almost looks purple. I wore this shirt because it almost looks this color, right? It almost looks purple. I tell you, it's almost like an omen that this thing came out. We were talking about this, and then they come out with one that's almost designed specifically for Brianna. Pretty close there. Kind of a different shade of purple, if you will. And different shades of purple complement each other, right? And even dark blue kind of complements purple a little bit, I think. So there's all of that going on. Let's see. Craig, what's worse, Tudor or an Android watch? Oh, boy. Those would both be total fails. So, yeah, both. I think they're equivalent. Fisto Bowser says, last game I played is a Final Fantasy VII on Steam 3 months ago. Oh, so I tried to purchase Apple Watch time ago. I like the Milanese bracelet, but my wrist was too big for that bracelet, and I did not purchase it. There you go. I hear you. Lance has said, sent an email. Okay, we'll take a look. Carlos, I'm happy with the Fitbit now. I like the batteries last around 5 days. Okay. Cool. Carlos is a Fitbit kind of guy. By the way, Carlos, do let me know when you get your final itinerary. Let me know when you're going to be at the Biltmore estate, because maybe we can rendezvous there. Because I'm interested in going there, and I think Brianna's interested in going there. Maybe we could all rendezvous at the Biltmore estate. That would be kind of fun if we could work out the timing on all of that. So do let me know that. Let's pull up this link that Lance sent in. Okay. Tag Carrera. Geez, I don't know, it just looks kind of funky. It just looks kind of funky to me. It just doesn't look that cool. And it looks like the crown looks real squared off looking. And even the case, the lugs are kind of like they look a little long, and they look kind of squared off, like flat parts to them instead of being rounded. I don't know. The look of that watch, I think that's a thumbs down. Let's see. Doxa, greater than Apple Watch. There you go. Different animals. Triforce Riches in the house. PS5 is a big deal for me because I skipped out on several games because I don't have a PS4 Pro. So I'll use the PS5 to play the backlog. Didn't want to play them on the regular PS4 downgrade. I've never played. I have never played a video game. Can you imagine? I never played video games back in the arcade days. When they were in the arcades, and they weren't on the computers. Remember, I'm an old guy, right? I never played those. I never played them when they went on the computers. And now they seem like they're probably getting so good that this might be the time to actually play one, because I think they're getting like for real. The last time I actually glanced at one was several years ago, and it just seemed like the players were kind of jerky, and it just didn't seem like it was that well done, right? And so I'm like, I'd rather go out and just play some tennis, I mean, what's the deal here? But it sounds like they've gotten a lot better. So maybe at some point this old-fashioned guy should take a look at one. But I think I'm just too much of an outdoors guy. I like to be either actually at the computer getting some work done or out doing something out and about. Don't really see myself being at a computer playing games. Let's see. Last consoles I had were GameCube and PS2. Carlos says, in Biltmore State, assume around October 28th, plus or minus 1 day. We'll confirm as I continue planning. Excellent. Excellent. Now, are you planning on spending like 2 days there? Because it's a big place. It's a big place to tour. And there's a lot to see around there, around Asheville. So do let me know if you're planning on spending like 2 days. My dad's place isn't terribly far from there. So what I'll probably be doing is staying at my dad's place, and then we'll probably day trip over to Biltmore, because I'm a cheapskate. Fisco Bowser's in the house. Craig, virtual reality games are on the horizon, but maybe your actual reality is good enough with the lovely Bree. And Segway writes, yeah, Brianna's pretty amazing. She is. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. I can't imagine a video game topping the lovely Lady Brianna in person. Carlos is in the house. My first computer able to play games was Sinclair ZX81 with 1 kilobit of memory. There you go. Carlos taking the Wayback Machine. Lance is in the house. I have an Xbox 360, but it's old, but still works. Probably going to the new Xbox when it comes out in November. There you go. I think some people actually make money gaming, right? They actually game, they live stream their gaming, and they actually make money gaming or something. There's something going on with all that. So yeah, people can make money with it. I think that would be cool too. Let me think. What else? What else another interesting thing. Ben Shapiro. I listen to some of his podcasts. Don't listen to him every day, but I listen to some of his podcasts. He's a conservative. He has a podcast, radio show, so on and so forth. Ben Shapiro has announced that his Daily Wire operation, the entire operation, is moving from Los Angeles to Nashville. He says Los Angeles has just become unlivable. He said, with all the homeless and the total mismanagement and rolling blackouts and just all the issues that California's facing, he's lived there his whole life. He said the last thing he really wanted to do was move out of there, right? But he's moving the entire operation, 80 of his employees, 80 of the positions. He has about 100, a little over 100 employees, I think. Some of them work remotely already. But 80 positions, they actually work there in Los Angeles, are all moving to Nashville. And he said when he announced it to his staff, most of them were overwhelmingly positive. They wanted to get the heck out of L.A. So the rats are flocking away from the sinking ship. Joe Rogan already announced. I think he's already moved, hasn't he? Did he move to Texas? I think he already moved out of the state. Joe Rogan. Who else was it that announced recently that they moved? Elon Musk is moving, I think. I think he's moving out of California. I mean, it's going to be a problem. and the governor, didn't he say that he was going to try to tax people that moved out? He was going to try to tax people that moved out of California for like the next 10 years. Even if they're out of the state, he's going to keep taxing them. How can he do that? Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh, man. How old is Ben Shapiro? 16. That's an interesting comment. He was a child prodigy. He was very young when he started commentating and doing things. I think he was actually publishing articles when he was 16. I think he's probably, 30 now or something? Or I don't know how old he is now. That's a good question. Probably in his low 30s. He's pretty young guy to be as successful and wealthy as he is. Let's see here. I think Rogan is already in Texas. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's already gone. I think it's funny. Can you imagine those people doing such a poor job? They've got the most, arguably one of the most beautiful states in the union. I don't think it's the most beautiful, but it's got a lot going for it, California. And how could you screw that up? How could you take something that could be a literal paradise? How could you screw that up? Well, they figured out a way. Get a bunch of homeless people all over the streets. Ben is 37. There you go. Get a bunch of homeless people all over the streets, like literally pooping in the streets, and, get a bunch of crime and raise taxes through the roof and screw up the electrical grid so that you have rolling blackouts, and don't manage the forests so that you have raging forest fires, right? That's probably the recipe for how you screw that whole thing up. What do you think? What do you guys think? Just don't California my Florida for the time I have left before escaping communism. Yeah, Florida, I mean, again, I've said many times, Sarasota, I think, is the place to be in the wintertime. Full stop. There's no place on the face of this earth to be November, December, January, February, and March. Those 5 months, in my opinion, there's no better place to be than Sarasota, Florida. That's it. Anywhere in the world. Pick anywhere. Because pretty much every day it's like 70 degrees and sunny with a light breeze. Extremely comfortable. Sunny, with a few puffy clouds here and there from time to time. Almost never rains. It's like Brigadoon, right? Did you guys ever see the movie Brigadoon, right? If it does rain, it rains at night. It's just like Brigadoon. And yet, it's not like California in that everything is dry because they're the rainy season, right? It rains all the other times of the year, so there's still plenty of water around. But during the winter, it almost never rains. That's their dry season. It occasionally rains, just enough to, keep everything green and looking nice. And it is just fantastic. Let's see. I visited Austin recently, and it's starting to look like Cali. Yeah, I think Austin is kind of could be a problem. Absolutely. If I were to move out of California, I would get new license plates immediately. Well, yeah, duh. Does anybody know, how can they actually keep taxing you once you've gone? Don't they lose jurisdiction? How would they possibly do that? Carlos says, for sure, that is great, but Southern California is great at that time too. Yeah, but it's usually cooler, Carlos. It's usually cooler. If you look on the national weather maps in, for example, January, February, even parts of December, a lot of times in California, it'll be cooler than Sarasota. It might be like 60 degrees for the high in California, and it might be 70 in Sarasota. So it's basically better weather in Sarasota than it is in California that time of the year. And not as windy, and it's just better. And green, like I say, not dry, green. So it is fantastic. Refit Dan says, thanks for the logo. Yeah, I've got the bug up. What do you think? Got the bug up there on the screen, briefitdance.com. And since she was so kind as to thank us for doing that, we're going to show her website. briefitdance.com. I'll tell you what, she is going to be an inspiration to a lot of people because she's focusing on fitness, on overall health, on having fun too, right? And she is also focusing on her financial health. She's very interested in her financial health. So that is refreshing to see for a young lady to be concerned with all those things and not out just drinking and partying and, doing the kinds of things that most young folks, most of the youngsters are doing. Let's see. Lance says, I've been to Sarasota a few times. Very beautiful place. I figured you probably had been, Lance. Lance is a classy guy. I tell you, I can tell that. I had him pegged right almost from the beginning. He had a beautiful, beautiful place in Connecticut. He probably has a beautiful place on the water in Sarasota. He probably just doesn't want to share that. But yeah, he's pretty much got it together. Hulk or Kermit. I would rather probably have just a regular sub, a pre-ceramic sub, and call it a day. One of the last pre-ceramic subs, I think, would be the way I would go, and get the decent case, pre-super case, right? Carlos is in the house. They want to remove the statue of the sailor kissing the lady from Sarasota. I wouldn't be surprised. Jeez, I've got a nice photo of that. I had a couple. There was a couple down there, and I asked them to pose. Let me see if I can find it. Oh boy, this is great, Sarasota. Let me see if I can find it. This will be really lucky if I can find this photo. Let's see here. Oh wow, I've got 13,000 photos. Let's see if I can get lucky here. Oh boy, they're not loading that fast on. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. I doubt I tagged it very well. These are cool. The parades they have down there are so cool. The holiday parade and stuff. Because, the weather's nice, so they can dress, they don't have to wear real heavy clothes and all that stuff. A lot of circus people. Those are a lot of the circus performers there. So that's where my house is at Rosedale. There's the lovely Audrey Scherer, and there's the Sailor Circus. There they teach the kids how to be circus performers at the Sailor Circus. Really cool. It's a circus town. Town was built by John Ringling, basically. There's the lovely Audrey Scherer, and there's a bunch of folks on Siesta Beach, white fine sand beach. There's some more Sailor Circus. All of these you can find on my Flickr. Just go and search Sarasota. These are the Skiarees. They perform every Sunday afternoon, a free water ski show for donations, and it's a cool show. I went out there many times and covered their event, and they're no joke. All right, I don't know if I'm going to find that photo in question, but I do have it. I'll just look for a few more here and see if I can find it. Maybe I tagged it. I doubt I did, though. It was in downtown Sarasota. There was an event, and then I had a couple pose simulating the kiss, and it really was a cool photo, but I don't think I'm going to find it. Getting close. So there's downtown. My gosh, I've got a ton of photos. Holy cow! This was the Rolling Thunder event in downtown Sarasota. That was wild. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people, probably 50,000 motorcycles. I mean, just a huge event. And there are the Winghouse girls, of course. They're stunning. And there's Siesta Beach. And the Indians, there's a really cool event that they put on. And there's a Jump Dance Company. They're really good down there. Jump Dance Company. And this young lady, professional model down there, put out a book. This was at the Rolling Thunder event. Peyton Patrone. So she was there. All right. Well, I don't think I'm going to find it. Literally 130,000 photos. I don't know how I'm going to possibly find it. But it's there. How does Sarasota weather compare to Naples? Very similar. Very, very similar. Naples might be a little bit warmer sometimes. It's a little further south, but it's going to be very close. They're both very good. There's the same statue in San Diego. Okay. Let's see. They wanted to. Okay. Is Bree webmaster for her website? She has, it's actually a page that's built onto my website currently, and the URL is just directed to there. At some point, we're going to build a standalone website for her, but that hasn't been done yet. So right now, it's just a page that's on, that's piggybacked on my website that her URL is posted to. So, and that reminds us, we got to do some updates on that when she comes on Friday. We better do some updates. Bree, if you're still watching, pencil that down on your to-do list. We got to do those updates. And somebody said they downgraded it. There's the same statue. Okay. Carlos, why do they want to remove it? Because, they want to remove anything that is decent about the United States of America. The liberals want to remove anything that's decent. Mr. Q's in the house. Carlos Simply Red has a whole video that makes that statue alive with a mini story. Carlos, I've sent a photo of the same statue in San Diego. Okay. Okay, I read that. Lance, I think that they consider it sexist as the male dominates the woman. Oh, well. Carlos says, also, I assume that they need another two male sailors kissing. Yeah, that's probably correct. Also, I assume that they... Okay, Craig, I usually have a hearty breakfast at Yoder's in Bradenton every time I head to Anna Maria. Yeah, Yoder's, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there are a couple of other Amish places that are more local. Yoder's is kind of like more of a tourist trap type of thing, but it's a lot of locals go there. But there are a couple of other Amish places that are really cool too. Let's see. I agree. That's extremely idiotic, says Lance. Maybe some trans kissing too. Let me see. Maybe I did tag this video. Maybe let me just search kissing and see if I did get lucky. Kissing. Nothing. Oh, here we go. Oh, I did tag it. I'm smarter than I thought I was. Why did I assume I was so stupid as to not tag that photo? Folks, why did I assume that I was so stupid as to not tag that photo? There's the photo. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that? Now, he didn't have his arm correct. See how his arm is on her shoulder? It should have been up, but that would have been blocking some of her head and her hair, which it's probably better the way he did it. because she's real cute, so why would we want to block part of her? Of course, that's a real sexist thing for me to say, right, that she's real cute. But hey, it is the truth. She is a total fox. She's a total fox. So, yeah, there's that. So they agreed. I said, hey, let's do this. Let's get you two in the foreground with the statue in the background, and let's have you two see if you can do the kiss. See if you can do the kiss. And I'll take a picture. And they said, okay, let's do that. So that's what we did. We did that in Sarasota. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know what you think about that. Okay, Carlos, last day of quarantine, bring out the champagne. Women like to be dominant. Oh, women like to be dominant. Well, women always dominate the male, but they let the male think that the male is dominating. But if they're smart, they're dominating the whole situation and controlling the whole situation. If they're smart, and they usually are. So, anybody that says that a female is being taken advantage of, they haven't met the females that I know. The females that I know, generally speaking, you're not going to take advantage of them. They usually come out the winner. That's usually the way that whole thing works. So, let's see. Carlos says, in fact, I have been already released. It came one day early. Uh-oh. And he's spending the time with us. I feel really flattered that Carlos was let out early out of his quarantine, and he's here spending the time with us. That is really cool. Will Texas go left before Florida, Craig? Yes, I think so. Yes, I think it will. That would be my guess. We'll see. We shall see. Yeah, but I'm guessing that would be the case. Cheetown, what do you think, Craig? Has Apple cemented its dominance over the smartwatch market? I can't imagine buying a different smartwatch, but then again, I can't imagine buying an Android phone, and a lot of people do that, right? So obviously, if you have an Android phone, you can't buy an Apple Watch, right? It ain't going to work. But yeah, I mean, if you have an Apple Watch, I mean, an iPhone, why the heck would you buy anything but an iPhone? I mean, an Apple Watch. Can't talk today. Fisco Bowser says, oops, I meant it the other way around, but still true. Okay. Let's see. Stig. Well, Carlos, you had better stay in Panama. Here, the old world is coming to an end, I think he meant to say. You cannot tell a compliment to a woman without being accused of sex. Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing. I think that women that are a little more old-fashioned, sort of like the Lady Brianna, she's old-fashioned in a lot of ways. She believes that a man should open the door for her. She believes that if she goes out to lunch, that the man should pick up the check, right? And none of this, I'll pay and you pay, we will split the ticket and all this nonsense. She doesn't go for any of that new wave nonsense, that feminist crap. And I think that women like that, like the Lady Brianna, are going to be much more desirable going forward. And that men aren't going to want to spend any time with these absolute whack jobs in all this new age crap. I think that that's going to backfire on them. I think that's what's going to happen. Let me know what you think. Let's see here. No comments on the photo. Huh. No comments on the photo. I asked for feedback. No comments on the photo at all. Okay. That's the way you guys want to play it. Let's see here. Android has already done the job of making me want an iPhone. The Pixel 3 is still broken and in the shop. Yeah, iPhone's the way to go. Fisto Bowser, Craig, do you still use any Windows-based computers? No, absolutely no. 20 years ago, I went away from Windows and have not looked back. Carlos says, I have sent an email with photos of a gold watch that was in the safe that I forgot about it for years. It was owned by a deceased relative. I'm lucky it happens that the bracelet is my size. Oh, cool. And my understanding is an Omega DeVille 31 millimeter, but do not know much about it. Okay, cool. Leftist ladies are frigid and too deviant, Mr. Q. Oh, boy. What a conversation. Okay, all right. Let's check out the email. That's what we'll do. By the way, this could be an abbreviated show, so get all your comments in. Get all your comments in. Oh, I got an email I got to check here real quick. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. I got to refresh this because I can't get that. Oh, here it is. Finally got it. Here's the email. Actually, I just got the email of the statue, Carlos. I guess the emails are coming through slow. There's the statue. You know, that one looks like it might be a little bit bigger. Maybe not. That's a kid. Oh, that's a little kid there. I thought it was an adult. Okay. I guess it's about the same size. Yeah, they shouldn't take those statues down. That was an epic moment. I mean, in American history, that was a really cool photograph. Okay, here's the Omega. Finally got it. Here we go. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. I like it. I like it. I mean, I'm usually like a more standard lug design for the bracelets and all that. This looks like it's integrated, but it's still very interesting. It's interesting that it fits, Carlos, that it's big enough to fit. That's very interesting. Yeah. What does it look like on the back? How does the bracelet attach to the case? Be interested to know that. But that's interesting. I like it. And you have a big wrist, so that's, it's not a terrible size watch. It's a decent size watch because it looks decent even on your big wrist. Yeah. Let's see here. Carlos, I have an Omega DeVille also. It was my father's. Okay. At Bowser. I used Windows just for Microsoft Excel is much better than the Mac version. There you go. Okay. Yeah, I don't use spreadsheets that much. Let's see here. Cheetown's in the house. Craig, could you realistically see the iPad Air with a keyboard replacing a laptop for many people? Maybe. That's a good question. I think it depends on your use case. Most people that are just surfing the web and sending and receiving email and all that can probably do everything they need to do on an iPad. My gosh. Watching Netflix, watching YouTube, all the typical things that people do. I don't think it would be good for heavy content creation, but people do use them for content creation as well. But I like a workstation with, big monitors and dual monitors and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of horsepower. Carlos is in the house, plus some plugins. Does not work on Excel Mac. There you go. Okay. I use Windows and a Parallels virtual machine inside a Mac. That probably is the way to do it. Triforce Rich is in the house. I hate Excel with a passion. That's the way to do it, Fisto says at Carlos. Yeah, Carlos doesn't fool around. I love it for its functionality. I wonder, but I say he doesn't fool around. I wonder what Carlos has to say about Michael Saylor stepping up and buying 425 million in Bitcoin. I wonder what Carlos has to say about that. That's quite a vote of confidence in Bitcoin. Triforce Riches in there. By the way, it was back over 11,000 today. I wonder where it is now. We'll see. We'll try to bring it up here. See if we can get lucky on bringing it up. Let's see. Carlos, I agree. Tons of functionality, especially if you become an expert, but it's the least user-friendly application. Basic stuff is easy enough, but doing advanced functions makes me want to die. Triforce. Cheetown says that, Carlos, do you use Boot Camp? I've sent a photo of the back of the watch. Okay, we'll take a look. I have installed, but I use it in a regular virtual machines. Okay. Cheetown says, Craig, what do you think of the current Mac Minis on sale? I've heard they're pretty decent. That said, the 16-inch MacBook Pro is, by all accounts, pretty amazing. So, yeah, I think it depends on the use case. There we're back down. We're at 10,982. So we're back down below 11,000. 10,982 as we speak. Still up on the day. Okay. But yeah, a loaded up Mini might be an inexpensive way to get into the whole Mac thing. Might be the way to do it, especially if you've got a couple of monitors to hook up to it. And keyboard and mouse already? Absolutely. Let's see. Okay, let's check the email. And we'll show the back of this puppy. Okay. Interesting. Is the bracelet just in effect like welded right to the case? Is that how it is? It just kind of comes right off of the case? So it's just kind of permanently welded on there? Is that how they did it? Looks like that might be how they did it. I guess for a dress watch, that's okay, right? Because there's something you're wearing occasionally and not putting a lot of wear and tear on it. Let's see. I would consider a 16-inch MacBook Pro to replace my 2011 MacBook Pro, but the stories about the keyboard scare me. I thought they fixed all those issues on the new one. I thought the 16-inch had a much upgraded keyboard and there's no issues. I haven't had any issues with the keyboard on my 2017 MacBook Pro. But then again, I don't use the keyboard that much. I have a external keyboard that I usually use when it's at my workstation. When I'm traveling, I'll use the keyboard. But unfortunately, with COVID and everything going on, I haven't been traveling that much lately. So there's that. But I have used it when I've been on the road traveling in the past. And I haven't used the keyboard a ton, but I can say that I've never had any problems with it. I think most people that have had problems with the keyboards, I think it's been like isolated incidents. I don't think it's been huge numbers of people. I think it's been kind of the exception, not the rule. So my guess is you'd be okay on all that. It depends on if you travel or not. If you're not mobile, if you're not traveling around, you probably don't need a laptop. You probably could just go with the Mini and call it a day. I think you absolutely could do that. Load it up and go with it. I think you can upgrade your own RAM in those. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like I saw something where somebody upgraded their own RAM in that, in which case you could get it with the base amount of RAM and then upgrade it yourself. Sticks in the House, Craig is a stunning photographer with a stunning watch, and I think that we men who are raised in the traditional way just cannot stop being polite to women no matter what the left wings people say. I agree. I mean, I think you should treat a lady with respect. I think you should. And these nasty trolls that say like nasty things about women and so on, and I think their mouths and their keyboards should be washed out with soap, right? Should be washed out with soap. So, Craig, what do you travel for? Well, I used to travel back and forth to Florida. I wintered in Sarasota, and so there was that. I would travel to visit my dad. I would travel to visit other people, but not for business, not, just mainly just for personal reasons. Let's see. Craig, do do you do your own modifications to your work PC? I don't really modify anything on the no. Right now my work PC is just a MacBook Pro 2017 with an external GPU hooked up. It's got the max amount of RAM that you could get at the time. I think it was only 16 gigs. In other words, whatever the max was that you could get at the time. And the new one's much more powerful. The 16-inch is much more powerful. And at some point, I'm going to upgrade. But mine works pretty good with the external GPU. It works pretty good editing 4K video, which is, the most I do as far as stressing it. It does a pretty good job. So yeah. And I got two nice monitors hooked up to it. Two nice 4K monitors side by side hooked up to it. Carlos, if someone gives me a template, then things become so much easier, not hard to fill in the necessary info and punch out the data you need versus having to actually create everything from scratch. Triforce Rich. Yes, seems very permanent, the connection. I might consider to service this out of curiosity. Never started. I assume never has been serviced in more than 30 years. Does it run okay now, or does it not run at all? What's the status on it now? Triforce Rich says, Carlos, email me over a couple of example if you can. You can send me BS hypo companies, so nothing confidential. I would love to see an example. So Carlos, on that watch, how would somebody adjust the bracelet if they had a smaller wrist? How would that work on that bracelet? I'm curious to know. Okay. I recommend Surface over an iPad if you work for a living. If you don't work, go iPad and vote Democrat. There you go. Well, a lot of people's work does not require that much activity on the computer. A lot of people's work only requires them to check email and maybe be on their Facebook page and update something. I mean, for example, if you're a plumber or something, right? You might not be doing that much work on the computer, right? You're out fixing somebody's plumbing. You might bill them on the computer. You might use PayPal for billing or something like that. That's real easy to do on just about anything. So a lot of people don't need a lot of computer horsepower, Recommend service of you can't upgrade the RAM yourself for the current Mac Minis. Okay, so I would max it out on RAM. Fellow, do you own your houses? Yes, I do. I don't borrow any money on anything. I always pay for whatever I have. So yes, I own my houses. Let's see, and it's more than two, so not both. All my houses I own, yes. Kyle's in the house. Is your dad able to come on the show? When I'm down there and I broadcast from there, I'll see if I can get him to participate in the show. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. He's getting up there and he's having a little bit of trouble getting around, but I think that we can probably do it. I think we'll probably be able to do it, and I'm planning on broadcasting from there when I'm traveling. So I'll do the best I can. Carlos is in the house. I can't send it. All that I have is plenty of info, and I would prefer not to remove all confidential information. You can see about how it looks to the fast standard and the models from F1, F9. Okay. Let's see. I have not tried to wind it. Oh, okay. Okay. Triforce Rich. Jet, I wonder what Mr. Ship thinks about raising the greatest man in history. Kyle Jet. I wonder what Mr. Shipp thinks about raising the greatest man in history. I don't understand what that means, what you mean by that, Triforce Rich. Okay, Carlos, I assume they had different sizes then. Is the same that happens with my father's Calatrava. Okay. Craig, I haven't updated my iPhone since February because I don't want the contact tracing feature. Is it a lost cause? Probably. If you're connected in any way, they know where you are. They know what's going on. I mean, there is no privacy anymore. That ship has sailed. Kyle's in the house. Rich, that's why we need to have him on. Let's see here. Carlos, NP, I'll ask you specific questions when they come up, if you don't mind. Okay, fine, says Carlos. How do you think your dad feels about raising you the great? Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. You can ask him. He's pretty amazing. I think he's the greater man. So there's that. Craig, Rich was giving you a compliment. Okay, thank you. Yes, I understand. I'm a little slow sometimes. The greatest man in history is a little slow sometimes. Isn't Steve the greatest man of all time? Probably that's the case. He's right up there with Rockefeller. Who was the original Rockefeller? Was it John D. Rockefeller? Was he the first? Was he the one that made the fortune? I get them confused. But anyway, they're right up there, neck and neck. Rockefeller, the original Rockefeller, I think it's John D., wasn't it? Anyway, the original Rockefeller, most experts say that he was richer than anybody else ever, even like richer than Bezos is now, if you compare it. Because it's hard to compare because I think what you really have to look at is you have to look at the things that he owned, like his estate on the river up there in New York. Was huge, and it would be a bloody fortune today. There's a bunch of stuff he owned just in the way of real estate that would be extremely hard to even duplicate today at any price, right? So I think if you took everything he owned at the time of his death and then you compared, okay, what would it take to own all those things today? Right, including the portions of the companies. They broke up his companies into a bunch of smaller companies that were none of them that small, right? He owned a bunch of of those companies, right? He still owned like a majority in a bunch of them and stock in a bunch of them. If you took and said, okay, what would it take to own all of that today, including all the real estate and everything? I think he was by far the richest of anybody ever. Before him, Carnegie was the richest. But once they did the breakup and he got, typical, right? The government wants to slap him on the wrist, wants to do this breakup and punish this guy, this monopolist, and who used all these tactics, to build this business and all that. So we're going to really sock it to him, right? So I think his net worth like doubled after the breakup, right? They made him richer. Typical government, right? Whatever they try to do, they end up doing the exact opposite. Jeez. Oh, well. Let's see. Hemingway was a fool compared to Craig, says Mr. Q. Cheetown says, if J.D. Rockefeller was alive today, he would be worth $418 billion. Whoa. I think that, yeah, probably, maybe even more like $1 trillion. Because it's really hard to put a value on some of those things that he owned and how much it would really be worth. It would be very difficult. It could even be more than that. But yeah, I think he was by far the richest. And I think he was extremely successful, and I think he did the right thing. he was all about doing things more efficiently and consolidating and figuring out ways to serve more customers more efficiently, just like Bezos is doing now. I think it's good. Briefit Dance is in the house. Thank you all. Have a good evening. She's taking off. I don't blame her. It's 6:02. Hey, we got to wrap this up. Thank you for reminding me. Triforce Rich Steve used to debate Aristotle and Plato. Much of their ideas came from discussions with Steve. Absolutely. The story of Hercules is the realistic version of Steve's life. Steve's history is more epic. That's right. Kyle Jett. Carlos is almost 7 feet tall, so is definitely the biggest of the three. I've heard Carlos can still bench 475 pounds. Absolutely. And he can clean and jerk, close to 700 pounds. Yeah. The richest would be Mansa Musa, I think. Yeah, there you go. Kyle Jett says, everyone in this chat is great. The show has really helped keep my sanity through this unusual year. Well, thank you. And Steve's pen name was Shakespeare. LOL, I've heard similar rumors. Yeah, I have actually heard that Steve is an immortal. That he's actually, thousands of years old. So that's the rumor that I heard. I heard that, if you look at a photo of him from 30 years ago, he looks exactly the same as he does today. That he's looked the same for literally thousands of years. So that's the rumor that I've heard. Mr. Q's in the house. If Da Vinci had a channel, it would be like Craig's, Mona Lisa, and all already included. Okay, you're here too. Okay. All right, guys, I got to wrap this up. Much of the great philosophers, writers, and scientists in history plagiarized Steve, but this is just Steve's way of giving back to humanity. That's correct. Sent a link to a stunning gold crater. Okay, we'll look at that, and then we're going to wrap it up. Carlos warms up by bench pressing a Mini Cooper. Yeah, I tell you, I said a long time ago I wouldn't want to mix it up with Carlos in a dark alley. I'll tell you. Tim sent this in earlier in Omega. Kind of cool. Kind of squared off lugs that kind of look like they're kind of welded on. See where you can see kind of the seam between the case and the lug. I'm not a fan of that look, but not terrible. Not terrible. Okay, let's check out the next one, and then I got to eat. I'm hungry. Here's the Crador from Lance. But it is, alas, it is sold. I kind of like it, though. I kind of like the crown guards, sort of like a Patek, right? I kind of like it. But alas, it is sold. Now, I don't particularly like that power reserve indicator on the front. But it is cool. It is a cool piece. I have to tell you, it is a cool piece. I have to tell you, it is a cool piece. I wonder what it's sold for. Deployant. Nice. Nice. I say nice. Did I say nice? Cool. I wonder what it sold for. What was the price? Darn, it doesn't say. It does not say. Oh, well, stop teasing us, Lance, with watches that are not available. All right, one more look at the lovely Lady Brianna's page, briefitdance.com, briefitdance.com. Go there, see all the links to her social media. Want to see her do her dancing, do her fitness stuff. Learn how to be fit. That's where you do all that. And I'm going to wrap this puppy up. Hey, click subscribe and click the bell. Click subscribe and click the bell, everybody. I said this was going to be an abbreviated show, and we went overtime. Take care, everybody.